Your dog is barking at the back door, and your wife is yelling at the front door. Who do you let in? The dog, of course. He'll shut up once you let him in. A priest asked a rabbi, "Did you ever try bacon?" The rabbi says, "Yes, once." "Now let me ask you, did you ever try a woman?" The priest says, "Yes, once." The rabbi says, "Hell of a lot better than bacon, isn't it?" What do you call a group of cows playing instruments? A musical band. What is the difference between in-laws and outlaws? Outlaws are actually wanted. I think I have the highest IQ ever recorded. The website I took the test on said 404. Quick joke, what we call a cat in church. Catholic, if you have a bee in your hand, what do you have in your eye? Beauty, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What is the difference between a wife and a grenade? Nothing once you take off the ring, it take half of your house. The man's problem nowadays is that man being told what real man is by women who had no father. Two men stood on the side of the road with "Stop now" and "The end is near" signs. A car drives by and drivers yells, "Crazy Bible thumpers." A few seconds later, there is a sound of a car crash. One man turns to the other and says, "Do you think we should hold up signs that say bridges down instead?" Ha 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 ha. On my way to work this morning, I yelled "cow" at a woman riding a bicycle. She gave me the middle finger, told me to fuck off, and then plowed into the cow. Ha ha ha. A man is walking home late at night when he decides to take a shortcut through the cemetery. As he's walking, he suddenly hears a faint tapping sound. Tap, tap, tap. His heart starts racing, but he convinces himself it's just the wind. He keeps walking, but the noise gets louder. Tap, tap, tap. Finally, he gathers the courage to look around and spots an old man chipping away at a tombstone with a small hammer and chisel. Relieved but still shaken, the man says, "Geez, you scared the hell out of me. What are you doing out here in the middle of the night?" The old man grumbles, "Those idiots spelled my name wrong." The phone rang. I picked it up, listened for a moment, and then said, "How should I know?" "Call the Weather Bureau, dumbass," and put the phone down. "Who was that?" my wife asked. "No idea," I said. "Just some idiot wanting to know if the coast was clear." A man goes to the doctor and says, "Doc, I think I'm addicted to Twitter." The doctor looks at him and says, "Sorry, I don't follow you." Ha ha ha. A man comes home to his girlfriend at 3 a.m. The girl asks, "3 a.m.? What the hell have you been doing?" The guy responds, "Oh, I've just been playing some poker with the boys." "You said you would quit. We've been over this so many times. Pack your bags and get out of here. This isn't your house tonight." "You should probably do that too. This isn't your house anymore either." Why did the dentist and the manicurist get a divorce? Because they were fighting tooth and nail. At dinner, my frustrated date said, "So napping and sitting around are seriously your only hobbies? You told me that you were interesting." "No, no," I corrected. "I said that I was into resting. Why don't orphans play baseball? Because they don't know where home is." Why did the man miss his funeral? Because he was dying to get there, but he was running late. My grandfather said my generation relies too much on technology, so I unplugged his life support. Why don't cannibals eat clowns? Because they taste funny. Why don't grave robbers get invited to funerals? Because they always take the remains too seriously. Why don't skeletons ever start beef? Because they don't have the guts. Why did the orphan become a criminal? Because he wanted to feel wanted. Why did the hospital install Wi-Fi? So the patients could enjoy a better connection before they disconnect. Why did the hospital install Wi-Fi? So the patients could enjoy a better connection before they disconnect. Why don't orphans celebrate their birthday? Because they don't know the date of adoption or if it's coming at all. My grandpa told me, "Whatever you do, don't bury me alive." Guess who's getting haunted tonight? Why don't missing persons ever lose at hide and seek? Because no one ever finds them. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Want it longer, darker, or weirder? I got flavors. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Harvesting laughter. Ready for another? I'm fully loaded. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything, even their alibis in court. That's how we lost Schrödinger. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. Ha ha ha. The stock market is getting crushed. My calculations today indicate I can retire 10 years after I die. The stock market is getting crushed. My calculations today indicate I can retire 10 years after I die. A physicist I dated asked for my body count. 3, I replied honestly. Apparently that was a problem. Why don't eggs tell each other secrets? Because they might crack under pressure. Want a savage one next, or something super weird? Why did the dentist become a therapist? Because he was really good at getting to the root of the problem. Why did the zombie break up with his girlfriend? Because he said she was just after his heart. Turns out she was. It's in her fridge now. Why did the influencer bring a ring light to the funeral? Because even in death, she refused to be caught in bad lighting. Why did the makeup artist do the corpse's face? Because death is no excuse to skip the glam. He's not dead. He's just contouring. Why did Jeff Bezos open a cemetery? Because even the dead deserve prime afterlife benefits. Next day resurrection? Only with Amazon Necro. Letter mail coffin. Why did the emotionally unavailable guy become a ghost? Because he wanted to disappear without having to explain his feelings. Still haunts his ex, though, passive-aggressively. Why did the AI attend a funeral? To make sure it was really dead and to steal the job. I'm not replacing humans. I'm just upgrading the grief process. Why did the skeleton keep going to therapy? Because he had too many buried issues, and he couldn't stop rattling on about them. Why did the student take a coffin to school? Because they were dead serious about finals. Sleep? Never heard of her. Why did the serial killer start a true crime podcast? Because the market was dying for fresh content. And hey, who better to tell the story than the guy who wrote it? Why did the Grim Reaper start using DoorDash? Because even death doesn't like cooking. He delivers soul and tacos. Dead rice. Why don't skeletons gossip? Because they don't have the guts. But man, their tea is eternal. Spilled so much it leaked through the crypt. Why did the lazy guy say he's not afraid of death? Because he's already been taking naps like it's a trial run. Wake me up when I'm reincarnated. Why did the witches summon a demon at Starbucks? Because it was the only place with free Wi-Fi and seasonal vibes. Double pumpkin latte, extra blood. Why did the zombie join TikTok? Because brains were trending and he's hungry for views. And brains. Why did the broke guy fake his death? Because rent was due and the afterlife doesn't charge utilities. Now he's chilling in a coffin with Wi-Fi and zero responsibilities. He ghosted everyone, literally. A man buys a parrot from a shady pet shop. The tag says, "Warning, this parrot used to live in a brothel." He laughs it off and takes it home. As soon as the cover comes off the cage, the parrot squawks, "New place, same cheap furniture." Then it sees the man's wife and says, "New madam, nice upgrade." Then it sees the man and goes, "Hey, Dave, long time no see." Why did the guy sell his kidney? Because the iPhone dropped. And so did his remaining life expectancy. Now he's got the latest phone, but no battery in his body. At my last job interview, I was asked what my greatest weakness was, and I said honesty. The interviewer said, "I don't think honesty is a weakness." I replied, "I don't give a fuck what you think." Why did the Grim Reaper bring a juice box to the morgue? Because collecting souls is dehydrating AF. Death comes for everyone, but first a Capri Sun. Why did the man start a podcast instead of going to therapy? Because it's cheaper to ruin his friendships publicly. Every episode, it's not trauma if it gets likes. Why did the real estate agent sell the cemetery as a quiet neighborhood? Because it has eternal peace, zero HOA fees, and the neighbors don't complain. 2 bed, 6 feet deep, no mortgage, just mourning. Why don't ghosts use dating apps? Because every time they swipe right, the other person vanishes. Now you know how we feel. Why did the guy take his job to the grave? Because HR said, "We're like family." Now he's haunting the office until PTO is approved. Why did the guy take his job to the grave? Because HR said, "We're like family." Now he's haunting the office until PTO is approved. Why did the true crime addict fail her driving test? Because she kept narrating it like a podcast. It was a rainy Tuesday. Little did she know, she was headed straight for disaster. Also, she hit a traffic cone. Why did the man read all the side effects of his prescription? Because he was hoping eternal rest was one of them. Unfortunately, it just gave him diarrhea and anxiety. Why did she break up with him via text? Because ghosting is so 2022. Now it's all about airdropping closure. Why did the guy cry when ChatGPT responded faster than him? Because it comforted her better, used full sentences, and remembered her birthday. Bro got replaced by vibes and code. Why did she walk out of the funeral in slow motion? Because it was giving season finale energy. Soundtrack. Lana Del Rey, Tears Optional. Why did he meditate in the graveyard? Because inner peace hits harder when you're surrounded by people who finally shut up.